I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-minute convos where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, Dave Stockbridge. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful, my time night?
I'm going fantastic. Thanks so much for inviting me to be a part of your podcast mission.
It's a great pleasure to connect with you. Tell us, what part of the world are you in right now?
So I'm in Adelaide, South Australia. So if you were to look at a map of Australia and look right at the middle of it and then go all the way down south, there's a little dot at the bottom of the country, and that's called Adelaide. So I'm right here in the heart of Adelaide at the moment in the first off-grid commercial building in the world called Fluid Solar House, and enjoying, it's about 35 degrees outside, and we're enjoying a beautiful regulated environment of about 23 degrees inside with no connection to the power of the outside world.
Wow, that must be beautiful. Now, just for those listening, we're speaking about 35 degrees Celsius.
Celsius, exactly.
Wonderful. And the inside is at 23 degrees. What's the size of that building?
So it's a 4,000 square metre building. So it's quite a substantial building, set over 4 stories. This particular level that I'm on at the moment, I'm sitting in amongst the Zen Garden. So for anybody who's Googling at home, can quickly Google Fluid Solar House and Zen Garden, and they'll see where I'm sitting at the moment. And what you'll also find is in the not too distant future, we'll be sharing this space with 200 innovators in the tech space as we open this space up as a shared work environment and business incubator for people that are innovating in the spaces of ecology and household products.
Wow, what a great idea. Wow. Well, I mean, it seems as though the cat has been let out of the bag, but I'd still ask the question, which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time? Again.
Well, so I am one of these people who over recent times has tried to run away from what was my core business, which was real estate. So I've had a real estate practice over the last 20 or so years, and more recently I've become involved in business associations. So I've got an underlying philosophy where the work that you do in the community tends to reap your rewards that you couldn't quantify in the business world. And through my work in volunteering and assisting and bringing value to the community in applying the skills that I'd developed over the last 20 or so years in real estate, it's opened up opportunities for me that I would have never have encountered otherwise. And one of those was meeting the inventor and the creator of Fluid Solar House here, Roger Davies, and in amongst a world of other opportunities. But that's just one of them, and that's what's led us to sharing this space and this tremendous opportunity to assist micro businesses reach their full potential and get their ideas out of heads and sheds and onto shelves in stores.
That's amazing. Where's the best place for us to go to connect with, to just take a better look of this and so much of what you offer, Dave?
If you Google Fluid Solar House, you'll see all that we've got there. If you want to check out the www.influencers and Innovators podcast, we have more episodes being released on there. All of that shot here in the Zen Garden. Part of our mission is, with all of this, is of course to find people that are leading without a title in the community, find those people that have got a wonderful local story that they want to share with the world, that's just going to assist those people who are perhaps a little like me and grew up on the downside of advantage, that perhaps didn't have the best opportunities in education or contacts, but has nonetheless been able to elevate themselves to a position where they can help others. And that's the nature of the guests that we have on the podcast, and the sensibility that we're bringing to this business incubator.
That's pretty amazing. So who did you learn the skill from? Well, the skill of there seems to be networking as a skill, and definitely the entrepreneurship with the innovation and the insight, right? Many skills come out, but who did you learn these skills from to be the entrepreneur you are?
I think it's come about as a result of a deep feeling of wanting to be of service and to express my ideas and creativity. And that was somewhat encumbered by, I guess, an education system and a societal structure that seems to keep those things very much in check, or keeps those people without great mentors and guidance away from pursuing their goals. And so because there isn't that classic qualification to be an entrepreneur, and certainly wasn't 10 or 15 years ago in the way that perhaps now it's become fashionable, I found it difficult to find a way, especially growing up in a low socioeconomic background. There wasn't those mentors and people around me. So I had to reach out, and I guess now these days people have the opportunity to listen to podcasts like your own and make those connections either virtually or actually with some thought leaders around the world that are passionate about what perhaps somebody out there may be passionate about. But 10 or 15 years ago, we didn't have access to those same resources. And so it was a very gradual process. So I'd say to anybody now that does have that entrepreneurial spirit, or there's some fantastic free content available online that can assist people on that journey, which I just wish I'd had 15 years ago, because I feel it would have dramatically accelerated my progress, and probably 10 or 15 years off my progress in a career sense. So I would attribute much of my learning over the last 10 or so years to people that have followed, like Michael Rowland, who's an acclaimed self-development teacher. His teacher being Guru Muktananda. A lot of the philosophies that I've been able to glean as a result of my exposure to their information has very much set me on the right course. And from there, Robin Sharma is a fantastic resource. More recently, Gary Vee with his marketing material. We really do have access to some world-class minds. And I'd be suggesting for anybody who was in my position 10 or 15 years ago to jump online, listen to podcasts like this, and find your way to being connected with people that move you inside, that may share your life mission as well.
And to think as well, no, you are definitely positioning yourself to bring that information as well in your own unique, real way, if you would, which is via the influencers and innovation podcast as well, right?
Yeah, and I think part of the motivation there is definitely in sharing a story that's seldom told. From my perspective, there's a real disconnect in our community between young people that have a capacity that's not yet tapped, and the information they need to unlock the abilities that are within them. It's not being provided by our education system, and many of the, although I've just said, and this may seem counter to what I've just proposed, but although there's access to world-class minds online, for a lot of people that's too much of a leap. They don't feel that from where they are to listening to Tim Ferriss or reading a book from Gary Vee, that's too big a gap for them. So I wanted to close that gap by providing real life mentors that people locally may bump into at the shops, and to see that there's shining examples within our own community and great paths forward to success from perhaps names that they'd never heard of before. And to give kids an opportunity to feel that there's people within their community that have already embarked on the journey that they'd like to go on, and to bring those people closer together.
Love it. Well, amazing audience, you're hearing it live here. This guy's podcast is going to be amazing. Like, I listened to it, and he definitely asks the questions. It's like you have someone that you're paying to ask all the questions you need to hear answered of an influencer or even an innovator. Pretty amazing stuff. Dave, that being said, let's switch gears, my friend, and let me now invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Dave, what is your earliest childhood memory?
Riding a bicycle, a three-wheeled bicycle through my house and being told off by my mother is one of the earliest memories that I have, and it's also accompanied by a photograph as well. So it's always one that pops up whenever I visit my mother. So so that's my earliest childhood memory.
How old do you think you were?
I reckon I was about 4. I also have a flashback to about that time saying that about using my father's razor blades and not really, and just mimicking my father, as often we do when we're at all stages in life. And but in this case, I ended up cutting up my face pretty badly, much to the horror of my mother.
Ouch, ouchie. Why do you think this memory is so clear? The one where you're riding the bike and the one where you're cutting up your face.
Because I think whenever you're doing something that upsets your mother, it tends to stick with you longer, doesn't it?
I like that. Even the pictures, right?
That's right.
That's amazing. Wow. Hey, can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind?
I would love to.
Well, I do love the idea of the bike, the 3-wheeled bike, and what that represents in terms of you being the person that's thinking out of the box. Why walk through the house when you can ride? It speaks to the innovation, right? And as well as the influence, which your father, under what you were looking at, right, that was necessary to be who he was. Obviously, you're looking at him, believing that you too can be who he is, and you being influenced to do what you did. It's just fascinating to me that now you're doing your podcast, which is the influence and the innovation combined, bringing that, understanding the core values of what go together with those.
What a tremendous insight.
It's amazing, isn't it? It is amazing.
Well, I love the way that you tied all that in very, very nicely. Yeah, I'm going to save myself.
Yeah, I'm glad we recorded it. I'm glad we recorded it. If we fast
that was a good one.
Yeah, you're good. If we fast forwarded to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
I've got a feeling that might have been a Bon Jovi song, and Living on a Prayer, I think, comes to mind. That sounds like it would have been very big in 1987.
Yeah. Well, hey, it all connects here, definitely. Hey, you riding through the house and you cutting your face up. It seems as though you were living on a prayer. All right.
I hadn't made the connection before.
All right, Dave, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Dave, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yes.
Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have children?
Yes.
Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
No.
What about screen time, the phone and or the computer? More than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Just about 8 hours a day.
If you, Dave, had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, what would you say that is?
A person of many talents that's choosing to apply them specifically to their needs.
Love it. Dave, this was a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
I would like to encourage them to continue on the path that they're already on. If they're listening to your podcast, then I do know that they're going somewhere great. And my suggestion to them is to continue pursuing that path of greatness, continue to fill their cup up with great information, fill their energy, fill their spirit with great energy. And as soon as they've got enough of all of that, to start sharing it with the world.
Love it. Because influence and innovation is required. Dave Stockbridge, thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thanks, Angel.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.